following is a paid political announcement.
This is Marty Dolan. I ran against Jamal Bowman and AOC because I believe New York City needs to turn away from socialism after 5 years of disastrous policies. Now I'm running for public advocate so we can get New York City back to basics and focus on the municipal excellence you deserve. Go to martydolan.org to find out how you can help. I'm Marty Dolan. I approve this message, paid for by Marty Dolan for office.
You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Absolutely. We have the Attorney General of Florida, Ashley Moody. Ashley, what is the situation in Florida, and are Floridians frustrated? I saw Ron DeSantis, the governor there, saying that many residents feel they are not getting enough help from the federal government.
Well, good evening, guys. Great to be with you again. And I think that this has become a common theme during the storm of those that have suffered as a result of Helene, especially out of North Carolina. And, I'm listening to your program, and it is sounding all too familiar of those I've been speaking with over the last few days. And that is, it doesn't feel like there was anyone at the helm in the federal government paying attention to the details, planning and preparation, making sure people were ready to go. Because let me tell you, being involved in leadership here, working with Governor DeSantis, understanding what it takes, you are planning and getting ready well before the storm hit. So days before the storm even hit, I was with the governor on the ground. We were meeting with utility workers. They were already lining up to get into action right after everything passed. I mean, all of people that were going in to rescue folks were already lining up. They knew where they were going to hit as soon as the storm passed, because as you can imagine, once there's destruction, getting to people that need to be rescued, time is of the essence. So all of this planning and the resources that are going to be allocated when we know these things are coming, that takes place well before a storm hits. So I think what you are experiencing and expressing on this show in terms of not just, frustration, almost shock, that this is where what we believe to be the best country in the world, the United States of America, that at least on a federal level, we couldn't have been just as prepared and ready to go as you were in these individual states. And I can just tell you, there are many days I wake up and say, and pray to God, thank you for, that I am a Floridian and live in this great state. But it is a frustration that many are experiencing that are on the ground and have suffered as a result of Helene.
Attorney General Moody, Florida did get lucky. You didn't get hit as bad as some of the other states.
Well, we got hit pretty bad. Now, the difference between Florida and some of the other states is we are accustomed now, just because of being a peninsula, being a state that during hurricane season, we understand that we're going to most likely get hit by a hurricane. And so we have our systems in place and our folks are prepared. And even though we have a ton of folks from the north that have moved recently into Florida, we try very hard to say, stay on guard. You don't understand. You must evacuate if we tell you to. Please listen to us. It's very serious. It's not just the hurricane. It's the storm surge that comes along with a hurricane. And so, we are in the sense that we've lost, approximately 20 individuals as a result of this storm. But there are many people that have suffered extraordinary loss of their homes. As I just said, we've had loss of life. I think where some of the other states get caught off guard is they're not, and I've spoken to some of the statewide leadership that have suffered in some of these states, and they're just not as used to dealing with a hurricane that makes it that far north in that intensity.
Absolutely.
And causes such flooding.
Absolutely. By the way, and the president today, President Biden, who popped out, I couldn't believe he was so lackadaisical. Talk about a contrast with leadership of like DeSantis versus him. He comes out and he's like, well, we'll probably have to go to Congress at some point to ask for more money. And that was it. And then he moves on. I'm thinking, it is shocking. Governor David Paterson has a question, Attorney General.
Attorney General, as I listen to this, it really reminds me of what happened during Hurricane Katrina, because really it was the problems started after the hurricane hit because of the inability of there to be resources or agencies that even knew what areas they should be covering.
And you have to have, and this is, I always go back to this, and I actually was complimenting President Trump earlier. One of the things I thought he did well when he was in office is from a 30,000 foot level, he would dig into those agencies, and it wasn't always just a money issue. And I get really frustrated when I hear President Biden always go to, well, they're going to tell us how much money they need, and then we'll go from there. So after the second assassination attempt of President Trump, he's like, well, Secret Service is going to tell us how much money we need, and Congress needs to meet those needs. That is spoken like a true career legislator who just fixes problems by throwing more money at it, not by being an executive in charge that understands you have to be in the details, you have to be putting talented people and strategy in place in these agencies. And, compare that with Governor DeSantis right now. He, in the wake of this, right, so we've had teams out there preventing looting, anti-looting teams. We're working with our state attorneys. We had electricity restored very quickly in many of these areas, and we had counties that were totally out of electricity. And now he's meeting with our individual agencies, determining from his discussions with people on the ground what's going on. What do you need? Your restaurant was completely wiped
By the way, Attorney General, that's the difference between leadership and the other. Before we let you go, we want to get into AM radios because you're leading the fight to keep AM radio. And boy, is AM radio not pivotal and crucial at a time like this. I can't tell you how many people that messaged me and said, I'm listening to you. You're our only lifeline right now in disasters and a hurricane like this. AM radio is literally the lifeline for so many people across the country.
It absolutely is. And let me just say to you guys, not only do I enjoy visiting with you, thank you for what you do. I mean, getting information to Americans in times of distress, that is crucial. And AM radio really is the entry point for our emergency alert system, for the National Weather Service. And so many of the new cars being manufactured are dropping that service, and that is incredibly dangerous. And I'll just give you an example. When the storms hit and electricity went out, people that had installed the electric locks, they couldn't get back into their houses, but the ones with old school keys could get in. And it just demonstrates sometimes during disasters when everything goes out, cell, internet, everything, electricity, you go back to that old tech like AM radio. That's what our emergency system is built on. And in North Carolina, not only were they figuring out where to get food, water, shelter via AM radio, they had roads completely washed out and destroyed. In order to evacuate, get out of the area, they had to be getting that information. Absolutely. And so it is so important, and thank you to you guys for what you do.
Attorney General, one more item. The Congress has turned over to you and a few other attorney generals the investigation of Act Blue, that hundreds of millions of dollars in foreign currency and foreign money, dark money, is going into the election of 2024. How's that going?
Yeah, I think Congress had forwarded information to certain attorneys general regarding these allegations. I'm certain that they've also forwarded on to federal agencies, but I think they hoped that some of the states might look at that. And certainly we are reviewing the information sent to us, and that was done very recently. So I'm sure there are other AGs across the nation like us.
Well, keep
us
posted, please. Please keep us posted. Attorney General, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you. We're glad that you're here and that keep us posted because this is an important topic on so many levels. Thank you.